I'm so high, I'm thinking
Welcome
rectangles.
to the
I'm
Let It Be
mistaking rectangles for
podcast,
triangles.
a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
Just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
I'm sorry, did you say you thought rectangles were triangles? You got the two shapes mixed up in your head.
Well, I have been hitting this all day at work, and it's been pretty hard to tell whether I'm high or not since this weekend. And I don't think that it's even because I was high. I think my head was just completely like melted.
Well, give our new sponsor a shout out.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty incredible.
The sponsor
if
is
confusing shapes
Yeah.
and names is like is part of the effect. My God, I can't think of a more rousing endorsement.
It's actually bass music that would have been the factor in this. The key thing that did this. Like, I don't know what happened to my head, but it felt like it just was like just distorted, twisted off, and spun around and put back on like several different ways, like Mr. Potato Head shit, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because I just couldn't even fucking believe like what I was hearing this weekend at Fuzzy Puddles, Lost in the Sauce camp out.
There you go.
It was fucking cool, man. I mean, I'm definitely much more of a house and techno guy. I like the, dance into the heartbeat rather than just like, a lot of bass music. But this was its own particular thing that like I never really experienced before. It was super fucking cool because the community's so tight and they're just literally, just guys that love nothing more than just fucking coming up with a new way to do a whoop, 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 whoop. Like, and when you hear this stuff on the radio or in SoundCloud or whatever, when you're listening to your friends' mixes, you're like, that's pretty cool. It's not really my thing, but you have to hear it on these fucking speakers that they have it on.
Meant to be
these,
done.
this new, I guess it's called the Hennessy rig. It's like the top of the line new fucking sound system that just fucking bumps. And I mean, in the middle of the desert in a place with like less than 100 people, it's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, I was seeing some of those pictures earlier, and I'm like, dude, that shit looked fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it was. And Kevin killed it. Justin killed it. And so Kevin was actually he was probably on the best role that I've ever fucking seen him up there on stage. The way he was just vibing out and like dancing and getting down with and playing his sax and everything.
Yeah.
It was unreal. And I wasn't even aware, but De La Moon Tribe actually went on right after him, and like she was up on the stage setting up, and like she was definitely digging his shit. And dude, when she came on right after him, though, that's when shit just got like for me. What the fuck? My head was just this tiny, cute like kind of older lady just standing up there so unassuming. She's just not even fucking moving, but throwing down the nastiest, raunchiest fucking bass music you ever hear, like just throwing you for all these loops. It was insane, dude. It was nuts. But yeah, anyways, as you could tell, I had a fun time.
Yeah, man. Well, that is fucking good to hear, and you're about to have another good one coming up this weekend.
Yes,
man.
I am.
Back to back.
Fuck. And I know.
Festivals.
I got in all the bass music, and then now I'm going to get in all
And
the
now
house
it's
techno.
72 hours of
yes,
straight house.
literally the same amount of time, although I was only there for a little over a day this past weekend. But I'm going to be there from Friday to Monday
That was the
listening
warm-up.
to techno. Yeah, that was what you needed to get that, like, to get the contrast you desire now. Like, it's like, okay, now I'm good with the bass. I can go with just this, with the heartbeat now, and I'll just fucking rock out. But anyway, Desert Hearts is going to be fun, and for the most part, I have everything ready to go this time, so I'm not really stressed. My
Well, you're
job's...
actually prepared? What the fuck?
I know, things are fucking weird. It's weird. This retrograde shit seems to work in my favor, so bring it on. Bring on this
Definitely.
Mercury retrograde shit that everybody's so afraid of.
Definitely not the planned move towards, really taking control of your own health and organization and evolving as a human.
No, it's
fucking
retrograde's doing me good. You
All
know?
right, yeah.
It's give all the credit to that shit. But yeah, what else do we have
Manifest
going
that
on?
shit. And of course, if you are going to Desert Hearts, be sure. Wait, let me just test my levels. Okay, no, I'm sounding good. Be sure to check out our two previous guests, the Douglases. That's right, Mackenzie Douglas and Ryan Douglas, Essence Vapor, and Puff the Magic Hats. One
And
more
Elixir Bar actually
plug for our
will
good
be
friends over there.
also
Elixir
vending.
Bar,
Yep,
too.
and a few other friends of mine, some artist friends. It's gonna be a fucking party. Like, we have so many people from the crew going, and it's a small festival to begin with, so we're all gonna be with each other all the time. And all of our friends vending, like, I'm gonna be picking up shifts at the Elixir Bar guitar and probably helping Mackenzie and them out.
That's fucking
I'm gonna
cool.
be, yeah, it's gonna be a whole different experience where we're gonna actually have some purpose, you know.
That's
there.
exciting, man.
Yeah.
That's I feel like it's way more fun when you do it that way.
Yeah, it's gonna. I'm excited to see what happens, and you know, we're gonna. It's. I'm just too. The weekend's got to get here already. I'm just fucking so. But anyways, what else do we have going on?
Well, I think we should. Oh, well, you know what? Actually, let's take this opportunity to plug, Rio Collective. We've got the downtown Santa Ana Art Walk coming up
right.
on Cinco de Mayo. So it's a big thing. We've been at it for a while, and it's we're really excited to get this going, man. We're gonna have a fucking really dope lineup, very eclectic. You know, we've got some bands mixed in there and stuff like that too. We wanted to really have something that has, that covers all the bases. You know, it definitely accomplishes what we do well, which is, the house and the bass music and all of it, the interesting, trippy
Fun
visuals
stuff,
and shit like
yeah.
that. All the fun stuff, included with some stuff that has a little more mass appeal too. So we're really excited about that. So that is Cinco de Mayo at downtown Santa Ana, and I, of course, will be linking the shit out of it because I think our event page, we just started sending invites out like 2 minutes ago, right before you walked in. So I'm going to make sure everybody that can hear my voice can reach that real easily, okay? Make sure that you check us out on social media. That is at Let It Bleed Cast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right. And I think that's it for plugs.
Well, yeah. So
let's get into what the episode's all about.
yeah, this one's pretty fucking cool. I
This
really had a
one's
good
awesome.
time with Danielle, or Danny, which is what she likes to go by.
Danny
I've
Clark.
known her for quite some time, just, from around the hood, working in the same industry, having the same friends, and just kind of remained good friends the whole time. And, just always a positive spirit. She, is just really, a creative soul at heart. She really likes to, she likes when people express their creativity, and you could tell she appreciates it. And so it was really cool to have her on talking about a newfound passion of hers, which was art, because what was the thing that she was doing for school initially?
Well, it's she was she really wanted to get into fashion, like design, and then it was like
Right.
the art of fashion, and we kind of get into how somebody's goals and career can evolve over time as you make like little small like 4-degree pivots
As it
every now
should,
and then. And
yeah.
we talk about all the little moments in her life that kind of led her to what she's doing right now. And it is some incredibly cool stuff. And we got into a deep conversation, a lot of it about sustainability and what was it? Fast fashion. There we
Fast
go.
fashion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fast fashion. So it's a brutal and interesting topic, and one that I thought I knew something about, but there is so much more to it. So you guys can hear me, learn stuff, and maybe it's just because I'm
I had
dumb,
no
but I
idea
think it's exciting.
what was going on. You have a small idea, just a general idea, but like I learned a lot of things, about what certain companies do, and just kind of makes you question a lot of the purchases that you kind of just instinctive or impulsively, I'd say, go out and just buy because you're like, oh, I'm going to a festival, I need to go and buy like all these fucking things,
Well, it just makes you think twice about where all the stuff came from. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
I've been buying, white shirts from Forever 21 at $6 a pop, and then, when I stain them or when the collar gets, really weird and fucked up, then they kind of go out. I mean, I end up donating them and recycling them, but still, it's not
Right.
like,
But how many people
they're all
don't
ending up.
is the idea right now? Is that
I
how
mean,
many
I'm not
people-
even sure what I'm doing is like effective because maybe it's just going to a recycling center. If nobody or donation place, and if nobody wants it, then it just ends
Right.
up in the ocean somewhere or some shit like that.
Right.
So, yeah, there's some pretty mind blowing statistics that we drop here, and so I don't want to take all of her,
Yeah, you'll hear most
Her
of it from
material.
her. So, but yeah, as we get into this, we hope that you guys enjoy the show. And as always, let it
Wait.
What?
What about her? Her plugs and her Instagram stuff and her
Fuck,
gallery.
see, this is what happens when you're just fucked up in the head, Phil.
Oh my
You just
God.
can't get shit done. But anyways, okay.
Okay,
I'm so
well-
sorry. What is it?
So, just before we get to the end of it here, make sure that you guys check out her gallery that she's curating. That is at Begovich Gallery, and that is at BEGOVICH Gallery, like it's spelled, GALLERY. And she is at De La Dani, De_La_DANI. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the show. Make sure you follow my man Dave here at Hood Rat Stuff with 3 Fs. And of course, make sure you follow Psychedelic Lions Den. That's psychedelic_lions_den. Check me out on social media. That on Instagram.
Nobody cares, Phil.
And Phil, nobody cares on Twitter. All right. Now
now we can
we're
go.
good.
I'm just excited to get into it. That's all.
I love it, man. All right. Well, then.
All right. As always, everybody, let it bleed.
It might be. It could be. It could totally, yeah. It could totally be done today. Yeah. It could totally be that is like environmentally sustainable, fast fashion, that whole thing. That's my little mini.
So if that wasn't intentional, we'll pretend it was.
Then we'll totally pretend it was. Yeah, we'll totally pretend it was. Yeah.
I'm all about that, you know.
Yeah.
You just do the thing first, and then you figure out why it's significant, and, you know,
Exactly.
all the deep meaning later.
Yes.
That's the secret to good art.
It is.
And ooh, that is a strong cork.
Yeah, I just got brave enough to start corking my own bottles at work. So
To start corking your own bottles?
Yeah, because I'm a server, and
Oh,
so we get like
okay.
someone will order a bottle, and then I'll just go to the bartender and bat my eyelashes.
Okay, that
Open
tripped
it
me
for
out for a second.
because I usually break the cork.
I thought
what
you
I
meant. I thought you meant you started putting corks onto bottles, and I was like, "Whoa, what else do you do? What kind of like fancy, like a home winemaker? You just got like one of those like marijuana grow tents, but just for grapes, and you're just making things in there." Like my imagination went wild for a second, and then
You're like, oh,
yeah, whoops.
so multifaceted. This cold weather came out of nowhere. I feel like.
I just was saying that today. It's bipolar
Thank you
bullshit
so much.
going on over here.
Yeah, I don't like it. It makes me destroy.
Yeah, exactly. I got all nice, like, I'm like, all right, all my winter shit's going to the back of the closet.
Yeah.
It's officially summertime. And then, yeah, today I was like, fuck, I'm just
No.
digging through everything,
Yeah.
pulling all the big things out.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to dress. And so now it's like,
Yeah.
if it was hot in this room earlier, and so I opened all the windows, and I had like my shorts all, or my pants all rolled up. And these are the things that I stress about because I don't have real problems.
Yes, I know. Frustrations.
So, guys,
Yeah, no, I was just telling him on our way in that a couple days ago, I left my vegan leather jacket at the circle, or no, the triangle.
leather jacket.
My vegan, I know, and I got it. I thrifted it too, so it was like one of my proudest like thrifting find. And I left it there, and I called the next morning like, hey, I left my jacket there. Is it there? They're like, no, it's not here. And I was like, I figured it wouldn't be. I figured someone would take that shit.
Oh, man.
So
That
this
is
is going to be yours.
Okay.
That's good.
Let me migrate.
Let me move this one over here.
I mean, I guess I could have sat there, but it's just I'm used to sitting here. It's kind of my
The obstacle
thing.
course is like.
And
the
plus,
first
this is the
challenge.
titty timeout chair. You don't want to sit in the titty timeout chair.
Oh,
Titty
yeah,
timeout
no,
chair?
Yeah, titty timeout.
This is the
No,
titty
titty
timeout chair,
okay.
yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Phil gets put on titty timeout constantly.
Well, I think
apparently.
that might be the shame hut. And then this is. Oh no, wait, this is the shame hut.
Oh.
The hut's a
That might be. Oh, you know what? Titty timeout. It got moved. It's
I'm
not
on a
the
titty
same right
timeout. Why was the titty added to the
It's kind of there,
timeout?
so it's quick access every time I get, on titty timeout.
Titty timeout.
Because Phil disagrees with something important, obviously, whatever that is. It's like she has like an opinion about like a commercial, and he's like, I don't like this titty timeout.
And I lose titty privileges.
What's titty
It
privileges?
just happens.
No
man.
tits for you.
Don't worry, Phil. I'll give you some of mine.
Loose power cord. That was the problem.
But yeah, the whole
we're back.
non-eating thing. Like yesterday, we had art in the park, and it was like amazing. And it was like the best turnout. But I was so tired because I didn't sleep at all from the night before. And the night before, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for. We went out for Angel, one of our friends' birthday parties, and so said I'm just gonna go for a little bit. I'm just gonna have a couple beers and then go home. And did not happen at all.
Yeah, that's how it always happens.
It was rough.
That's how it always happens.
Yeah.
Not last Sunday. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna keep on riffing about art in the park and stuff like that, and I think I'm just trying to wake this guy up.
Well, Mark and I were gonna go. I told Mark the last when you announced it. Mark Talamontes. I was like, "Let's go. I want to go." I'm like, I keep telling David I'm always gonna go, and then I'm that person that like never goes, and I need to go. Yeah. This is like what I do. I should go, And then of course, inevitably, I just totally fucking forgot.
Well, the good news,
because it was what was I doing? I had one of my friends come from out of town. I hosted him for the weekend.
Oh, cool.
So we went to exchange. It was fun, actually.
Okay, that's cool.
It was good.
Very nice.
It wasn't bad. It was good.
Well, the good news is that there's going to be plenty more because we're going to be doing them
at
every
this
month.
rate, I mean, this shit's going to be going on for the next 20 years. So you got plenty of time to catch on.
How is it going? Like, what's going on with it?
This last one was so
How many
sick.
people are coming? How many artists?
I don't know. How many people would you say is there?
Our guess was about like somewhere between 60 and 80 like all
No
day.
shit, you
With a
guys.
consistent like 40 people just hanging out,
But
chilling.
That
doing
is
their thing.
dope.
But this time, I would say that most people were like actually all doing something.
Yeah.
Like whether they
Yeah.
were actually like sometimes you get people that might just come and not work on art, which is great. It's fine. Come and hang out by all means. But like, we were really stoked this time that people were putting a lot of effort into just having fun doing art. Like just whether it be coloring. Or whether it was we had mannequins, so
I saw that.
I
saw that.
I bought a bunch of
love
mannequins.
dress forms and mannequins too. I told Mark I was like, let's go, and I'll do some. I'll fucking crochet and call it textile art. Like let's just fucking go.
that was
Let's
that was what
That
we were
would
looking
be a
for too.
thing.
I was
Yeah.
like, you can do whatever you want with it. You can like put accessorize them and do whatever. And so it was
Some of the stuff people came out with was pretty incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, just watching everybody's like process and how they did stuff.
literally like it's been like 7 times now I've been wanting to go to one, and but I will. I promise.
Yeah.
I will. I promise.
Well,
I really want to go. It seems
I
really,
was
really cool.
extremely excited because pretty much most of the solid artists, aside from the couple ones that I post that live elsewhere, like in Flagstaff or in the East Coast, because like if you follow the Psychedelic Lines Den, the Instagram that I post all of our artists, like there's like a core group of artists that like I've been inviting for a long time, and they've either some of them have never come yet, and then some of them like come like a little bit, or they just come spread out and never have they all been there at once working on something. And so this was great because they were finally there, and it was awesome because they just kind of jumped right into it. They didn't really like sit around and waste time. They
no,
jumped,
let's go.
They jumped right into it, and they all had something pretty unique. Like, each one of them had a different style, and it was really cool because, I think that definitely pushed everybody else to at least do something, and it was awesome.
Yeah, everybody was so engaged on this one, and I love seeing how how just like straight into it everybody got. It was cool watching Patrick, Pasquale, that you guys know from other episodes. He, how he got right to work, and he sat down. He was like taping everything down after he put that base coat and shit like that. And just watching his process.
Cool. Yeah, I see the process.
And it was really cool to see how it all kind of came together and like the technical side of it. And so I was seeing how he wanted to base some of the I guess the details around like the curvature of it. And so he had everything like taped out from there. And it just looked it looked dope. And
he was also collaborating with his girlfriend, and so is Mo with this girl that I just met last week while doing the big draw in Santa Ana at the Copper Door. Her name's Carrie. They collaborated, and that was awesome because that's kind of what I really want. Like I want people coming together there and like just collaborating together,
becoming connective, sharing, changing ideas, learning. Yeah, totally.
And that was a real beautiful thing, watching everybody kind of admire everybody else's stuff. And I feel like maybe I just haven't noticed it before, but I feel like it was one of the first times where I was seeing all the artists that we usually have kind of really interacting with each other and like, scoping out everybody else's work, because it seems like, when they kind of do it, they kind of get into their own thing. And I just noticed this time everybody was kind of looking, and I don't know if they were pulling a little inspiration from like what other people were doing, but it was just cool to kind of see how
it's that community element.
It had
and that's what you guys are doing essentially, is you're creating a community. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it had all of the elements of something that was far more produced and planned than what it was. We really just have kept it pretty raw in terms of just like.
Well, I think you need to keep it that way.
Yeah, just let people come and bring what they're going to bring, and it's going to just make sense, and it did.
Yeah.
But, on the other side of things in the art world, you've got the cool stuff too, like you're doing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that thing.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're working on right now?
So myself and my curatorial partner is how I refer to her, my co-curator.
There you go.
We've been working on this show for 2 years, like intently for 2 years. But when we entered our MFA program at Cal State Fullerton, first day they warned us like, big show, your big exhibition, like this is looming, this is coming. Always have your thoughts and your eye on this of what you want to do. So yeah, the past 2 years we've been working on it pretty steadily. And our opening reception was 2 weeks ago. It was really,
Congratulations.
Really successful. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was really successful. I was really proud of it. I keep telling everybody that all my friends were there. We went through the wine in the first hour. All my friends showed up. And I knew that was going to happen. That was a guarantee for sure. But yeah, so it is featuring, the show is called Reclaimed Landscapes, and it's featuring the art of Jared Czarzuski. He's an artist from South Carolina. He's works with mostly all of his materials are like reclaimed, found objects, things you often throw away. So I guess you could kind of attach the sustainability artist thing to him, although I don't know if that's how he would define himself. He would probably refer to himself as an installation artist. But he's a professor in South Carolina as well. And we borrowed 6,000 pounds of clothing from the Goodwill for this installation.
Wow.
2,000 pounds of e-wire, and e-wire is like cables, chargers, computer wires, extension cords, all that shit. And then 500 pounds of bike tires.
Wow.
I think I think so. Yes. It is his, I guess, mid-career retrospective is what he's referring to it as, which is
that's some fancy words right there.
I know, it is fancy words.
How do you go about ordering bike tires by the pound?
So what we did was he let us know, like, we're gonna need a bunch of shit. We're gonna need a ton of stuff, and we're like, yeah, I know we're gonna need a ton. He's like, no, I literally need like at least a ton of clothes, 2,000 pounds of clothes. We contacted Jack's Bicycle Shop, and there's locations all over Orange County. And when they change out tires or tubes, they just throw them away. Oh. So that's how he got attached to the material of the bike tires, because it's just something we throw away. And he has this, he's a big believer in sustainability and recycling. He was in residence for 3 weeks, and he would bike to the gallery every day, put it that way. So we just told Jack's Bicycle Shop to hold all your tires. Don't throw them away. Hold them for us.
That's cool of them to at least hold them, too.
Just hold them.
I mean, that's a hold.
Legit hold them. Yeah. So for a few months, I was going up to the Jack's Bicycle Shop in Fullerton and just picking up tires.
Right where I used to live.
No, literally, I would pass by your house.
I know.
Every time I would go.
I would go there all the time.
You can walk there. You know exactly where it is.
Yeah,
you can walk there.
The good old party days.
Yes. I remember those days. Those lingerie parties. God.
Oh, damn. It was crazy.
One time I wore lingerie, too. It was so bad. The last few weeks, though, I would go to like every location in Orange County because we were running out in dire need. So that's how we got the bike tires. I just went and picked them up from bike shops.
Cool.
That's a lot of work that goes into that.
It's very interesting though, because I actually have seen this sort of art movement kind of like growing, or at least maybe I've just been noticing it more.
It's becoming a thing.
It was definitely something that I like first discovered, I think, when going to, East Jesus out in the desert. Yeah. That that's a total burner idea for these people to go out there and just take trash and donate trash and totally make a gallery out of it with with people that actually are like, it's very well run, because every time you go, like the second you walk up, they have somebody different giving you a tour, and they're all very enthusiastic and very, very passionate about it. So
and that
awesome.
Gallery is a member of the I think it's the American Association of Art Museums or something like that, but they're credited. Right. They're a member of this association, and you have to pay dues to do that.
Yeah.
You have to be kind of like not a legit thing, but a thing.
Sure.
We got the clothes. He asked for 4,000. We got 6,000 pounds of clothing, and we just got them from the Goodwill. Yeah. And we just reached out to their marketing and branding person and said, hey, like, we have this artist who's doing this installation. He's done them before on the East Coast, and he utilized the Goodwill. Would you guys be willing to help us now? And they're like, oh, totally, for sure.
Cool. I actually met a guy yesterday who came from Ontario because he'd heard about Art in the Park some way, somehow. And he's a really cool guy. Apparently he's doing, I think it was called the Zenden is the thing that they do. And they basically hold, instead of in the park, they have like house parties that are centered around art, but they have their house is like more like kind of like a venue, the way that they have it set up and everything. But he was telling me that that's what they kind of do is this what's the movement?
Sustainable art.
So yeah, where they reused reclaimed objects and stuff. And so
it's like I guess you could use sustainable art maybe as like an umbrella term.
Sure.
And some embrace that, and I think some reject it. But I think like the concepts that and then on a conceptual level, the concepts that he's talking about are completely in line with sustainable art. And then there's like eco art and earth art and all that shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, and there's so many.
It's like talking about musical genres. It's
right,
like, after
especially
a while, it's
in the
just
electronic
like, oh, geez,
world.
whatever.
Yeah,
who cares?
Exactly.
Just art. It's called
that's
art
what
and
I say.
Yeah, for real.
It's like if you dance to it, it's good. If you don't, then it's not. Or like if you're vibing to it, it's good. If it's not, then it's not. But like you just get so many people that are just like, what about the grindcore, this that, like that, like 20, like the name is longer than
progressive
the thing is with those conversations, if you take them too long, you start to sound like a tool bag.
Oh yeah,
you do.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Like
but yeah, I look like a fucking douche for going to a festival and not giving a shit about who's DJing because like that song kind of in this moment sounded like the last song, and that means it's all good, which is good. I don't need to like go and see like all the different DJs whose names are off by just one backwards letter or something.
The last festival I went to, I didn't even look at the lineup. I didn't give a shit.
It's better that way. I mean, you're going for the experience. You vibe with
It
people.
is
I
that
think
way.
that there's something a little bit more douchey when people are super fucking particular about where they have to be at all times because the realistic nature of it for me is that like all of these DJs play at all of these events all the time. Like I've seen all of them in one way or another at a different time. So it's like, if I miss this DJ, it's not the biggest deal.
It's not.
I don't know. That's just me. But
I can't do the stage hop thing anymore. I get irritated after a while, and
exactly. You turn it into a chore. If it's
I
work, if you're trying to go around, you know what?
Anxious.
Just let it be, man.
I went to Lightning in a Bottle last year, and the best time I had was by myself.
Right. Yeah.
And then I discovered a whole bunch of amazing new music that I'd never heard before. It was like ecstasy to my ears. I was like,
that was your first like festival like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. The kind of like burner-esque type of
bohemian,
gathering thing, whatever. Yeah. Last year I've had to take time off from that scene because I've just with school and the show. It's just like, I mean, the last 4 weeks of my life has been non-existent. But that was the first time I did something like that, and I really, really liked it. And so I'm going again in a month.
Cool.
And then, but I can't commit to too much,
Right.
I have to get on that. I don't know. That stay on that grind for now. I have to finish.
It's rough because it takes up so much mental space, like beforehand too, to get ready,
It
and
does.
then just like you're not working and like getting stuff done and being productive like up until the day. It's like no,
you're thinking about things.
Exactly. It's
my
consuming.
girlfriend asked me,
spending
like,
money on clothes.
Oh
and
God.
accessories.
Well, that was the unique thing, right?
Yeah.
So since I started this show because it's about fast fashion, right? I stopped buying fast fashion. I stopped buying from Forever 21, H&M, whatever. Ooh. But when it becomes festival season, I'm like, it's typical girl. What are you gonna wear?
Right.
And I'm
That's
like, fuck, dude, I don't buy this shit anymore. So, put it out to the airwaves that I broke my rule for Lightning in a Bottle. I bought shit from Dolls Kill. But that's the first time that's happened in a long time. But no, that's a thing where you have to think about like what you're wearing and what are we doing and blah, blah, blah. And I told my girlfriend, I was like, I'm not thinking about any of that shit right now. Like, whatever, I'm not really thinking about it too much. And then the last few days I've gotten obsessed with it and it's been in my thoughts. So I'm like, no, I need to push it out. I need to keep focusing on what I'm doing right now, which is
guys are the same way for festivals, especially those
Are
kind of
they?
festivals. Yeah, like
I'm at H&M, Forever 21, like the week before,
No,
just
it
getting
is.
disposable
It's true.
shit, because I'm like,
you know
okay,
what?
this is gonna get ruined. Might as well,
See, well, he's different. He's buying disposable shit. I'm buying stuff that, like, really, I've collected these things over the years and I reuse them. I take them to every festival and I just throw them in one big bag and I put them all over my tent and it's like I just go mix and match while I'm there. But there was for 2 years I didn't buy anything new in terms of like regular, I guess you could say, street clothes. It was all like festival accessories and clothes.
Yeah.
And then eventually it had to become my regular street clothes because a lot of it I had to incorporate it because I didn't have anything anymore.
So it work its way down like the progression in your closet of like shit that's in the back and now it's in the front always. Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. Is that stuff from Forever 21 H&M? It is disposable clothes. It is disposable clothes.
Yeah.
And it's just like a diaper in a landfill. It doesn't degrade. It doesn't decompose. It doesn't break down. Which is why that was the I guess like the kicker of the exhibition is talking about this fast fashion new environmental crisis with all these clothes that we're buying and are being made, and like I
Do any clothes break down? I have no idea.
So if it's like an I could be corrected on this, but I know if it's like an hemps break down really well. Cottons are really unsustainable to make, but those break down well as well.
Okay.
But the thing with those clothes, fast fashion clothes, it's made cheap, so it's made with polyesters. Those don't break down. Like materials that are synthetic, those don't break down. So like the white T-shirt that you buy at Forever 21 that costs $5. If you throw it in the trash and then it goes in a landfill, it takes like 30 or 40 years.
So I have an interesting an idea right here that's probably unpopular to so many people, but and I kind of wonder this myself. But there's like for quite some time there has been obviously a big hatred towards fur and everything fur, and faux fur is all the rage, and I mean it's definitely pushed out to be the more responsible and what would you call it? Ethical thing to do. But then some lady who was apparently telling one of my friends, all of the reasons why that's not true. And it's because of these synthetic things that are being used to create these, fake fur jackets that everybody's buying. When really, they say it is about, it's not about. Obviously, there is the negative side to, the industry where they create fur like with real furs because they're killing and hunting these animals to do that. But if an animal is dead already and they use the fur and they use it completely to get the most use out of it.
Like my possum skin fanny pack.
There you go.
Yeah,
like that.
It was already like that.
Exactly.
Like that.
Because I mean. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that it really does depend on where you're from and what you do and what you use it for. Because there's people out in the fucking boonies, like in Alaska, nobody's gonna go tell them that you can't hunt and fucking eat your animal.
Your animal that's gonna sustain your family for the winter.
And, whatever.
Go throw blood on
and you're using every piece of that animal, and nothing is going to waste.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm a vegetarian.
Sure.
I tend to utilize the vegan option when I can, or when I'm out eating somewhere. I'm like, oh, this is vegan. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to try it, There's a couple vegan restaurants near my house that I'd always frequent just to support a vegan business, because those tend to be more sustainable.
Take it Burger King's not one of those?
I don't think so. I don't think so, boo-boo. No,
Burger King. I was trying to be on that game right there.
You've got that part of it down. This room is full of fast fashion. So I'm about to ask a bunch of uncomfortable questions for myself and realize, okay, wait, exactly how bad am I fucking up the environment right now? Because everything is Forever 21, H&M, and Dolls Kill, like in this room right now.
Oh, God, Dolls Kill, though. She killed.
What's Dolls Kill?
So Dolls Kill is like the a little bit more expensive, more cool, more like alternative version of Forever 21. But it
does have some cool shit.
They have better. They'll feature like high-end brands, so the range is really high. It could be anything from $10 to $250.
Oh wow!
So they'll feature really great brands. I don't know. It's just a little bit more, I guess, edgy and cool.
Honestly, if you're not shopping at Buffalo Exchange for all your clothes, you're fucking up. Because I go in there and I get like brand new shit for like $20. That's like bomb, is like jackets, like fucking really good shit.
Well, that's what I do. So I mostly abstain. I would say I like 95% of the time abstain. But I will shop at Buffalo Exchange. I'll shop at Deluxe in Orange County, which is another like a Buffalo Exchange-esque store. So that's the way
my cousin's ex-girlfriend's parents own that store, or
Dude,
I guess she's technically
shout out to the Deluxe buyers in downtown Santa Ana because they have amazing eyes. All of their stock is always on point so far, like amazing.
That's where I got my cactus, my favorite shirt, like my cactus.
That's where I got these Vans. I mean, they're Vans, but they were $7 and they were brand new.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So that's the way that I conceive or respond to this in terms of my behavior or whatever is I do secondhand. I thrift, which I don't care. I've always thrifted since I was a kid. My mom we didn't have money. So
well, once you get over that idea that like these clothes aren't clean or that they're like
everyone needs to get over that idea.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to get over that idea.
Seriously,
I think that's so silly. It's like it's so capitalist consumer, like the most awful consumer relationship is that you can't use something because it's been used.
I think you just got to be like our age and be broke as fuck and realize like that's fucking stupid.
I
need some I need to go buy like a $10 shirt, not like because literally across the street from Buffalo Exchange is a place where I was shopping heavily for a couple of years. And don't get me wrong, the clothes are amazing. It's like that store. Some people call it the Patagonia store, where it's all Patagonia, but like they have other
the one in DTF, right? Is the one you're talking about? Which one?
No, I'm talking about down in at the camp. So you have the lab and then you have the camp.
Okay.
And then so right across from there, I think it's called Seed Market, where
yes.
And
okay,
so
I know what you're talking about.
they have like all of these, and I've spent a lot of money, and I still will if something really really catches me. But like, it's like $70 for a shirt. You know what I mean? Like a brand new shirt. When I went across the street one day, I did just refrain from buying because I was like, I don't know. I haven't, I can't do that right now. And I walked across the street and saw from the same brand something that was pretty. In fact, I was wearing the shirt before I switched out right now. Button-up shirt, fucking nice for $10.
Yeah.
As opposed to $70. It's like, what the fuck? This is.
Yeah.
You can't even tell the difference.
No.
Insane.
No, you can't. No. Well, and then, so, like, that's how I respond to it, and that's how, like, because I've gotten this question a lot after I've spoken to, especially people at the opening reception. I've been doing a lot of, like, classroom tours to professors and their students, and, like, students are, like, people are getting it, right? They're like, oh, my God, like, they're connecting with the whole idea of the show. And they come up to me and they ask me, well, how can I avoid fast fashion? Like, how can I be more ethical in the way I purchase things? Like what do I do? And I was like, well, the way I do it is just the way I do it. I don't subscribe to extremism in any form.
That's great.
So but what works for me may not work for you.
Sure.
So for example, my curatorial partner, Jennifer, she does a curated closet. So every season she just wears the same 30 items of clothing, and then she'll switch it out with every season. So if it's summer to fall, she'll switch out like a pair of shorts for jeans. And then when she buys something, she donates something or gives it to a friend. So she practices minimalism in essence. And kind of, because that's ultimately, I've gone through this in my head multiple times. That's ultimately the real answer, is just to buy less. You know what I mean? I mean, I can't afford to buy American-made anything. An American-made basic white T-shirt, from an ethically responsible company is going to cost you $60, $70.
Really?
$80, yeah. If they do the manufacturing in the States, yeah. That's why it's so cheap overseas, is because they'll use child labor.
Yeah, and
women are paid, almost nothing. It's unsafe working conditions. And that's the thing about clothing manufacturing also, is that there's so many steps to the process, and your shirt will go through so many hands that it's really difficult for brands to be ethical in every single aspect. I mean, even American Apparel was like American Apparel, but they still got criticized for at one step in their manufacturing process, it being overseas and no one knew who was doing it and what was happening. So it's, everyone responds to it in different ways, I think, or as considering this issue of the fast fashion environmental crisis in different ways. But I think the key is that everyone's aware of it and they're wanting to turn it into a behavioral pattern.
Yeah, because when I've heard this argument before, I've heard about it in terms of like, the overseas labor and like, what really goes into making like a cheap shirt. And I've wrote a couple blog posts, but really it hasn't really, sunk into my consciousness yet. And so this is kind of the first time really having the, the ecological impact put out there. And so what do people not know? Or even if they do have a little limited understanding, like is there like some crazy stat that you've got that like would blow somebody's mind?
Yes. Let me drop some knowledge.
You already said something that blew my mind right there, because I knew about that, but I had no idea it would be $70 or $60 for a plain white shirt here. That already blew my mind. That's an eye-opener for a lot of people.
You can just Google American-made clothing brands and look at their shirts, look at their dresses. It's like $50 plus, you know what I mean? Like it's and that's expensive when you're talking about, the average consumer in America goes to Forever 21 and pays $5 for a shirt.
Right.
And we're so used to the idea of it costing nothing,
So we have the same problem with our fashion industry as we do with the fast food industry, basically.
Probably.
Yeah. Right.
Fast fashion, fast food, y'all. There's a connection point.
Yeah, like meat shouldn't be, $1.99 a pound. Like,
but it's made in such gargantuan. I mean, beef is.
Yeah, no, if we should actually be like that one. I've been all for.
I don't think we have a scarcity of farms with cows. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many. Like, there's.
Oh, we should.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, no, we should have a scarcity of farms with cows, because that is the number one thing that is fucking up. American health, the environment. Like that is the biggest contributing factor, is the fact that we cannot get rid of meat. And if it did, it would balloon up to, $100 hamburger.
I thought it was cocaine.
Oh man, I wish that were the problem, because then we would eat less, and that actually would bring the thing.
That's not
bloody
true.
noses. I don't have bloody noses.
No.
No.
Maybe if it was Adderall. Adderall, you eat less.
Okay.
Cocaine, for some reason.
That's true.
That's
Adderall, you do eat less.
That's
Adderall,
the
you do eat less. Isn't it like that? There's some crazy fact that like greenhouse gases, like the major contributing factor is not cars, it's actually like cow farts.
Yeah,
or some shit
it's
like,
methane
see,
emissions
there
from
you-
cows.
So
Yeah,
there you go.
Have you ever
So
driven
there-
through Fresno?
Oh,
Felt
yeah.
like
Oh
you
my
were
god,
gonna
yeah.
die?
No, my brother
It's
lives
like
in
over-
Modesto. It's a shithole.
Yeah. Literally.
Sorry, Joey.
Literally, like, smells like shit as you go.
The overabundance of like antibiotics in there, it's like so many of these
It's
major
crazy.
problems we got
It's
can
crazy.
actually be tied back to that.
Well, that's
so.
why I'm a vegetarian, is because of the farming industry. But the abundance thing. So when
yeah.
I was preparing for my talk for prior to the opening reception, I had to drop some knowledge and drop some facts. And I read that there's 80 billion pieces of clothing made a year.
80 billion.
What?
80 billion. Let me check my notes in my phone because I'm sure that's a thing. But I think that was what it was. It was like 80.
Worldwide?
Let's see. Let me pull up my notes and I'm going to look at talk, and it says, I think it says, 80 billion pieces of clothing are produced globally every year. And clothing made from polyester can take 200 years to decompose in a landfill.
Wow.
And according to the Textile Council of Recycling, Americans create 25 billion pounds of textile waste a year, even after the clothing is donated.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's how much clothing is being produced and then consumed by Americans and then disposed of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
80
like
billion.
when, and I've done it too. Like if I stain a shirt, I'm like, I don't want to wear that shirt anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? But is
Well,
it really
yeah.
like not worth wearing anymore? You know what I mean? Like if it's like, you know, a stain on like the small stain on the collar, or if it's like a tear, can't you just repair it? You know what I mean? Can't you just fix it? You know what I
Nobody
mean?
got time for that.
But that's our
Buy 10 more.
but that's our relationship with consumerism, right? And
Yeah.
it's not just related to clothing.
Definitely.
Like the other day, for example, the other day I was vacuuming, and I noticed the vacuum wasn't sucking. So I turned it over. I'm like, oh my gosh, this vacuum is clogged. I'm like, and I thought my first head was, I'll just buy a new one.
That is so.
I'm like, no, why don't I fix it? Take
Yeah.
it apart, get a screwdriver, and just clean it out and fix it instead of buying a new one. Why do we always have to have the new and replace if there's something wrong with it? Why don't we fix it first? you
right.
know?
I
I've been
tried
trying
to
to-
fix it.
I've been
Because
trying to
we
get to
think
that
that it's a
mentality.
disposable item, and we think that when we throw it away, it's out of our mind and it's going away. It's not
just,
going away.
It's just. It's laziness. Pure laziness is
That's
what
our
it is.
relationship with consumerism.
I mean, we like no matter what. There's we could sit here and say there's no time to do it, but it's just we don't want to make the time. It's
Yeah.
like more of an effort than to go and
And I-
waste our money.
And I really
something new.
think that, like, I mean, I'll get on like a kind of like, I'm not anti-capitalism yet, but but
There's got to be some sort of like middle ground or something. where
I
you
know
can,
there
like,
has.
meet-
There is. I'm sure there is. But you know, like the rest of the world doesn't have the access to privilege that we have. You know what I mean? Like a big part of like the quote unquote first world countries. You know what I mean? But if you live in the global south, and by the global south, I'm referring to areas like India, Pakistan, typically referred to as quote unquote third world countries. I differentiate with the language because I just learned this and I'm trying to infiltrate it into the way I speak about these countries.
What? So what was the negative thing about saying third world country?
So the thing with third world countries is that when you use that terminology, you're kind of injecting a kind of, well, first of all, you're using it as a comparison against first world countries.
Okay.
That every country needs to aspire to the developed state that we are in.
Okay.
And that America and the UK sets the standard.
Huh.
You're also injecting a moral judgment into that the third world is lesser than the first world. And it's a little bit, what do they use?
Condescending.
Yeah.
Condescending, but it's Eurocentric.
Oh.
So the model is always the white European / American man.
Yeah.
And that's, if you use everything against that standard and judge everything against that standard, it's ultimately going to be biased in a lot of ways.
And now the definition of like I remember getting into an argument with somebody and then actually looking up the definition of like what first, second, and third world countries were, and I think that has just kind of evolved like throughout over time, because that was kind of all defined
Absolutely.
in like the 40s, and it was actually based around World War II,
Yes.
and a lot of those things like aren't really representative of stuff like that, and so
Absolutely.
yeah, actually I would not call India a third world country at all, because they have some beautiful cities and some very like great technology. Like they're not,
they're a fucking huge country.
Yeah, they're massive, and a lot of them are doing really well. Now there's a ton of horrible, horrifying poverty over there.
So what's a
as well.
second world country?
I think it was like.
Is there such a thing? I
mean,
didn't even know. Like, I really don't. I never
definition.
questioned this
Right?
terminology.
Well,
I just kind of took it for what it was. I was
That's
just
the
like,
limits of your bias and your perspective, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're a first world country, and then you have like the third world countries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
well, I never even heard that. I was just like, I just assumed when people would say third world country that they meant like a country that's like, like an African country that like where there's basically they're like still like tribes or stuff. I had no idea what it really meant.
Exactly. That's the argument, is that when you use that terminology, your mind automatically goes to that place of thinking that there's no.
And realizing that
that ethnocentric
anything.
bias.
Yeah.
Eurocentric. I'm sorry, not Eurocentric bias. And then I mean, and I could get into the whole thing about colonialism and that whole shit.
Yeah, no, that becomes a whole thing. And just like one more thing to get this last thought out is, it's so frustrating to hear people who just they use this as their entire basis for judging other countries. And I'm sorry, we have a president who's calling some of these places shitholes. So it's like, no, they actually have like bustling cities.
Have you been to Flint, Michigan?
As like and exactly. Have you been to Flint, Michigan?
Have you been to Flint, Michigan?
I can't.
So Puerto Rico is a part of America, and we still got that. So, anyways, that.
Yeah, no, but totally, it goes into 100% all of that.
On board with you.
Yeah, it goes into
getting rid of this
all
idea
of that. Touches
using those terms anymore. First, second, and third world. Like,
and people can like, drawing the lines between things that are like politically correct, and everybody has to be like. I don't think that that's what it's about. I don't think it's being political. Well,
there's also,
you know what I mean?
Like, there's also something called basic human fucking kindness. So
Exactly.
I don't like calling things politically.
It's about just trying to also make people aware of what things are, because like language, terminology, everything's like constantly evolving too. Things are evolving as everything else evolves, as everything changes for better or for worse, and so it has to be talked about a lot. And I mean, I just learned something new today, because I didn't really ever think about it. So
yeah, well, no, that's and I mean, again, like I've been working on this exhibition for 2 years, and I just learned about the Global South terminology literally like 2 or 3 days ago, but I was really excited about it. So that's why I'm like, I learned a new word. But I think it's important.
Literally.
Well, I think it's important. I mean, that's what I always say is the major problem with our current political, crisis issues, developments is that people aren't empathetic enough.
And language can drive that.
Oh, language is super limiting. Actually, language can be really destructive, but it can be helpful, right? It can be destructive in the sense of like, if you think about it with like categorizing people and putting people in a box. Mm-hmm. But then it can be helpful with labels, so you help to understand things and correlate things. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not all good or all bad, because I have my moments and my problems with all of it, but at the same time we all naturally have to in some ways categorize or kind of label certain things, and that's just what's going to happen.
Little ones have to do that.
But with people doing it for a good reason, there's always going to be people that I guess you could say they get lazy, so they don't really go through all the steps, and it's just like, well, I'll take their word for it, and then they'll take their word for it. I'll take their word for it, until here you go down this line, and you've got these people like that have a skewed view or just a lazy view of what that means, and it turns into something completely different.
Yeah, well, language is just it's an imperfect tool to facilitate communication. And I think too many people get so hung up on the minutia of it. I think that's what we get a lot of the problems that we have here too. Is that like, I've seen so many arguments online when they said, okay, racism. Like, I keep hearing this definition of it. That's it's you can't be. It's like something about subverting power. Like it takes into account like a power dynamic, and that's fine. But people are refusing. A lot of people who are using that term are using it and then using that definition and then chastising people for using it in like its colloquially known definition, which is just like prejudice. And a lot of these things people are getting so hung up on the language that people are using, and not enough on the ideas that are being communicated, and bridging that gap. Because
for sure.
I don't know how to make good use of my time, and so I get into a lot of Facebook arguments, and oftentimes like that.
Do you still do that? Yeah. I gave up on that a long time ago.
Oh no, I did that. Yeah. I almost did that the other day.
I'm getting so mumuch better about it, and I'm getting better like every time I see, because it's such a goddamn bummer because they changed the algorithm I want to say about 6 months ago.
No, they do. No.
And now it's like the post with the most
whole thing about the Instagram algorithm right now.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
I'll skip it.
Oh, it's a fucking mess. But the posts, like every post that goes up, it's like the things that get commented on first and the things that get interacted with first, for better or worse, those show up at the top. Yes. And so it's like everything I love, the number one thing that you see in the first comment is just shitting all over it. Like no matter what it is. And so it's so, you know, it bums you out when you, if like, especially if you don't know that like this is like a problem with the algorithm that's doing this.
It's almost like, I mean, it's designed one way or another, whether it's an actual person designing it or it's some fucking like computer outsmarting us human beings that's like saying, I'm going to make you get in a fucking argument today.
It's bunch of, it is actually
make you
hostile.
Look at the person who's stalking you right now, and you're going to see like all of their posts because they interacting with you and we want you to interact with them. And we want, you know, we want that behavior like thing to continue.
So I saw your comment on a certain person's thing the other day, and dude, okay, so that is like the perfect. You know, you know what I'm talking about, by the way. You know who I'm talking about.
The dude,
the ongoing fucking back and forth between our friend. Not gonna say any names.
Yes.
Between that
now
like
is talking about.
These guys are each other's sworn enemies. There's like 3 guys, but mainly 2, and then one other guy jumps in too, and it's just like these like it's like, and
they were going back and forth.
They kind of represent in a sense, and not to like judge or point the finger or make myself seem any better or him any worse, but they really do represent like the bad sides of like
what did
both
I
of
say?
the spectrum.
I said they're encapsulating our current political crisis.
What are we? Oh, okay.
And so for anything in politics, it's like one of them, like it'll be our friend, you know, he's on this side on the left, and he'll go and say something, but like very like not as informed as it should be, or not, you know, just objective. It's just very like, you know, well, just like anybody who believes in this, you guys are fucking stupid, or
black
something
or
like
white
that.
thing.
Black or white. And then there's this other guy, pure troll, absolutely, like there's no like shame in his game whatsoever. They'll just go, "You're a fucking faggot," like, you know, just like go at him.
Yes. And I saw this going down. And I don't engage in that way anymore, you know. But then a third party of ours was like, started the conversation, and then the other person chimed in, and he's like, you know what, I'm out. I'm not doing this right now. I know where this conversation on Facebook is going. I'm out, you know. And so I saw them going back and forth, and then, you know, the usual meme of like, you know, the meme of Michael Jackson sitting in the movie theater and throwing me the popcorn. You know, I'm like, yeah, that's me too. I'm watching it. I'm into it. And then I think, what did I say at the end?
You were saying the other guy was a real MVP for like getting out of there.
Yes, because I said, well, okay, like you're encapsulating this current political crisis. You know, your opinions as it's related to politics is your identity, right? So when when that is criticized, you feel like your identity is criticized. And
Absolutely,
who you are is criticized. That's number 1 problem. Number 2 is no one is empathetic. Number 3 is that they're using you know, sucking dick as a derogatory, like, oh, you fucking suck dick. Like, are you serious?
Well, then there's that whole other thing. But was that the first post that you've seen like that from him?
No.
Okay, so this, it's just an.
Well, actually, maybe it had been. Maybe it was like the 2nd or 3rd.
Oh, dude, this has been going on for over a year, to the point
apparently it has.
And it's just like they hate, like they really do hate each other. It's not like they're friends that disagree and they're just like going about it, but like neither one of them will like delete each other.
You know what's crazy is that none of them have blocked each other.
They just keep going with it, to the point where like they like talk about how they're like setting up this fight. It's like a WWE fucking skit that's for real in real life. Like they're like each other's sworn enemies, but but they don't
block each other, and they don't like kick. I mean, at that point, it'd be like deuces, like not even making room for you.
I will admit though that I do really enjoy, like, you know, I always start the conversation high when it's going to be like that, and if somebody wants to go low, I do like going low too.
You can feel good.
It does feel good.
Well, you know what, and that's what I didn't go low, but I tried to do it in a very like smart way. You know, when I said, oh, you know, like this conversation, blah 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 blah, and then that dude replied, and I was like, well, you're the MVP of this conversation. You got fucking first place in being a fucking tool bag and having a political conversation on Facebook by all the shit you just said. Yeah. And then he replies back, I know. I was like, yes, you know, dude.
To each their own with that, though. If you want to get involved and invest your time into it, more power to you, I guess. But for me, because I tried to do the like, be patient and like just try to, you know, reason with these people and show them compassion and kindness, but it just didn't go anywhere really. Even if like the one person got it, then somebody else would chime in. Like it would be like a South Park parody or something. Like somebody else would chime in and like fucking take it there. So I just said, you know what? I'm gonna focus my efforts on individually in person having discussions with people like that, because when you're there, you can't like. They see your tone.
You very rarely can you change your mind on Facebook.
Absolutely, 100%.
I always pick my battles strategically. Because if I'm like, okay, wait, these people. If I see somebody there, like, okay, these guys can find common ground, I'm gonna point that out. And I'm not gonna like let it go to that. But if somebody is saying something I disagree with, most times anything that's like in favor of something that like the president's doing right now, it's like, okay, if you're still on board with this, you're so far away from being able for you to like change your mind.
I hear
so
that.
I'm not going to bother.
I hear that.
I
hear that.
Yeah.
I very much hear that. I very like you're. Well, that's what I said too when I went to work that day after I saw that conversation on Facebook. And I actually talked about it with another mutual friend of ours, and they were like, "Oh my God, you said that, da da da." And
The
I was
brother?
like, "Huh?
Was it the brother?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I pointed out something, and I thought it was really smart of me to say this, but I think when you engage on that with that on Facebook and on that level, like, just regardless of what you're advocating, whether it's on the left or the right or whatever, like after a certain point, like you look like a parody of yourself.
It is.
You look like
Absolutely.
a parody of yourself,
Yeah.
and then no one takes you seriously, and then whatever credence you do have to your argument, it just gets lost, right? Because you're just a joke at that point,
No.
But I very much believe that you can't really change anyone's opinion.
Yeah.
Well,
if they're going to declare it on Facebook.
Because of exactly what you said right there, is that it is their identity. And so if you
It is
question their
identity,
beliefs,
yeah.
it is so deeply rooted into their identity that
It
they
is.
cannot turn back right now.
No.
Can you imagine if somebody was just like all about, okay, like evangelicals in the South right now. Can you imagine they've been saying this their whole life. It's about, marriage sanctity and all of this stuff. And then you put all of your eggs in this basket right here, and you've got this guy who's out, raw dogging porn stars while his third wife just had a baby, and
I love that word, raw dogging.
criticize intimidating people into keeping your love child secret, and like this is your guy. Like,
Yeah.
of course they're not going to turn back now. Their whole life has been about this. They would be so embarrassed if they had to change their mind and admit that they were actually wrong about something. I get it, and it's rough. And I do not trust the entire world, everybody on our side to not just fucking really rub that in as soon as the time comes. That is human nature, because you want to get that satisfaction.
That's the point, because that's the thing that bothers me, is that it's not about being right. It's about being effective. Because if you could be right, I know some of the smartest people that get into these arguments with, and they have very intelligent ideas, but the second that insults get thrown around, they don't have the temperament, or they don't have the patience to actually just like, not, or the wisdom to like just say, hey, well, let this person go about it. Obviously, they're in a different place. They're not there. No, they go with, now they're upset, and then they attack them this way and that way.
Yeah.
And so even when you are right, instead of showing the compassion that you want them to show to other people in this way or that way, show them compassion, because really a lot of those people, what they're really fed up about is because they kind of know that they're stupid, and they're afraid of people rubbing it in that they're stupid.
Yeah.
That's what this whole fucking thing is. Well, I'm here. I'm not going to learn that, so it's easier for me
To be an ignorant.
fucking choose. And,
Yeah.
me saying this and having them listen to that would be like, well, fuck him, But so I'm not trying to get
You've
there.
got an
But
ideology that runs on quote unquote liberal tears.
Right.
Like that's not a basis for
everyone.
belief system.
Exactly,
The main issue I see is that no one is empathetic. No one is empathetic to the other person. No one is striving to be connective, right? Everyone's striving for differentiation. You believe this, and I believe that, so there's a chasm between us, and there's no relation, right? We could never find a connection point. And I really, I mean, it might be like the being too idealistic, but I really think that if people just like strove for that instead of striving for differentiation, we would be so much farther along.
Right.
And it's the simplest of things, just
Right.
to connect with a person. You know what I mean?
it is, but
yeah.
it's not the simplest to come to that point, because we're conditioned our whole lives to.
Yes.
Well, I think there's
Yeah,
also some
fair
growing pains going on right now, in that like we as a society have not had, the internet that long, much less social
No,
media
we
that
haven't,
long,
yeah,
much
we
less this much interconnectivity, and the ability to like we're all learning. Fuck, even like Facebook is kind of learning how destructive things can be if somebody really set their mind to it. And the truth is, we were kind of digitally invaded by a hostile foreign nation. And
that's the argument.
They've
now.
been on a long-term
Facebook
campaign to make it seem like everybody fucking hates everybody, and that has actually it's worked like crazy for them.
Kinda has,
and
you're
so
right.
I don't trust it anymore. I don't believe it I'm just refusing to believe that people are this hateful. I think people are starting to understand that, like, okay, no, this is a problem for all of us in general, that we should be coming together. They're knowing, like, okay, we should start to
I had a friend.
separate some stuff.
I had a friend, a really like connective, really like well-informed, thoughtful friend, tell me one time that he thinks that this crisis and this reaction from the right, this alt-right, this conservative movement is just a blip in the natural progression of our culture, of our society, of America, and that progress always wins. But there will always be a reaction that'll pop up to oppose that,
right.
And that is this now. And eventually it will fade out, and progress will dominate, and we'll move forward. And
well, here's the thing. I agree with that 100%, because when we really look at history, and it sounds hippy dippy for me to go and say, well, like, it's just the way that it is, or it sounds just like arbitrary as well. Like, it doesn't, because people want to believe in something specifically, and that there is something that needs to be done. And the progress is always something to strive for. Absolutely. Yeah. There's people that are trying to just outdo the other person in terms of progress and trying to jump the gun, when instead, hey, take a second to realize how far we have fucking come.
In such a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
All the time. But here's the thing is, like, there's never been a time, well, it goes both ways, whether it's liberalism or conservatism. Like, when I talk to my parents when they think the world is ending, or one time I remember as a kid being in the waiting room for the doctors, and this man, like, was there with his wife, and he's an older gentleman, and somebody else, that he heard a story, just one story about, like, somebody killing somebody in a very gruesome, violent way. He's like, oh, I'm telling you, this country or this world is going to hell, da da da. I'm like, they used to fucking torture people in the most, like, ridiculously fucking obscene ways in public too, like, just to make a statement, like, all of these things that, like, that people used to do. It's just a completely different world that we're living in, because it's evolving and changing in so many ways. And Elvis Presley used to be the devil to so many people at one time for fucking shaking his hips.
Everything is relative.
So exactly. And I mean, we are growing and we are getting better. And I mean, like, not even 60, 70 years ago, or in the 60s, black people were barely allowed to fucking go to school with fucking white people. This is
10 years ago. Would you have guessed that by now gay marriage would be legal in all 50 states?
No, not at all.
And now we don't think about it or talk about it.
I would have hoped, because 10 years ago I was 19.
Okay.
And
Okay. Yeah. Maybe 10 years ago.
I still had my
okay.
I had my
Okay.
P flag bumper sticker on my car. Okay, so
But 10
I would
years
have
ago.
hoped. I would have hoped. I would have hoped.
Okay,
California
20 years ago for
rejected
sure. No,
Prop
I would
8.
have thought
20
no.
years ago, no.
Yeah, 10 years ago, California had the opportunity to legalize it, and they said no.
They shut it down.
Yeah.
And I remember that shit.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I was
shit.
fucking furious.
And that's what you're saying.
too.
So it takes a while for everybody to finally get on board with a certain idea for it to become acceptable.
Well, things need to become normalized. Things need to become normalized. And things need to become, instead of it being kind of like a reaction that induces like a sting, it becomes a reaction
But
that's
that
just
also
kinda
has
normal.
that also has more of a problem for it. Like,
Absolutely.
did you put this on here, by the way? What the fuck is
Oh my
that?
God, fuck.
Like,
This
what?
is just the world.
Is
man.
this
We're
really
talking
your
about it,
your,
okay?
your
Is it
television
Sean
just is
Hannity?
listening to our fucking conversation?
It
I
must
can't
be.
even with
Who-
this channel though. I can't even with this channel. Like,
Right,
it's just,
of course.
I mean,
Well,
But-
Sean Hannity is a gigantic piece of shit.
everyone on
who-
Fox News is a gigantic piece of shit. To be honest,
There's a couple people who are like decent enough. I don't want to like shit on the whole channel, but you hear about the Laura Ingrams, the Sean Hannitys, these people,
can't.
the fucking Fucker Carlson, like fuck
Fucker
all
Carlson?
these
Is that a
people.
thing?
Yeah.
Fucker Carl-
I don't know.
that's a
I
good
just
one.
said that
That's a
right
good
now.
one.
But the
It's
normalization,
stupid
as you were
fucking bow tie.
saying about these movements, is kind of actually worse, because then it just
It
becomes
absolutely is.
it
I
becomes
agree
a
with that
thing
as
of
well.
like, okay, well, we're doing it because everybody else is doing it, rather than truly understanding and
Well, and then
truly gaining compassion. Because I have people that I know follow movements when they're around people, like, progressive movements, when they're around other people, because they know that that's the thing to say. But
Right.
like when nobody's paying attention or listening, or they'll, like, something will slip out of them, like something completely racist, or there's like a completely like inadvertent racism that like goes on where people don't even they have no idea that they're fucking being way more racist.
Well, that's the
than,
thing
like,
with things that are normalized, right?
Right.
When things become normalized, they become thinned out. So they almost become like bleached out, right? So there's no real there's no real soul to that anymore. And then everybody adopts it. And then it just doesn't become what it was before. It becomes something else. You can see that with normalization on a societal level, on a cultural level, on an artistic level.
Right.
Like you can say that with a bunch of things. That's why I said with arts, when you do art in the park, like keep it like you are doing right now, dude. Don't let anyone fucking I don't know, co-opt that and turn it into something else. Overly structured, institutionalized, even overly branded or marketed.
Right.
Because when something comes from, this is another thing that is, I'm into kind of the subculture thing. I always kind of have been, but I was going to write my thesis on it, but I changed my mind at the last minute. But on a subcultural level, when things go from the underground to the mainstream, it just becomes co-opted and it becomes watered down,
right.
and then it's just doesn't become. Doesn't become what it was anymore.
I think that I'm more of a romantic in the sense of when I watch movies and stuff, I'm always looking for the romantic theme behind it all, or the idea of it. Really, for me, it's really not about doing what has been done to get there, because I recognize that all the people I really, really like, I really look up to in art of any kind, whether it's music, movies, it's somebody that was that did exactly what they wanted to do, rather than being really good at
Who do you look
everything.
up to in art?
In art? Fuck, I mean, shit, my friends, actually. My closest friends.
That's awesome.
Hot Wax is my favorite,
That's
one
great.
of my favorite
Yes.
artists, I mean,
Yes.
I obviously love,
I love that. I love
so
that.
many other artists but it's about a connection. I don't have a connection with Salvador Dali, even though I really look at his art and I'm this is fucking amazing. And I do have a connection with the art, but I don't have a personal connection with him, where I know my best friend and I know that his art actually is something that people I honestly, truly, and it's not talking him up that much, but I've never seen, at least within a movement of artists around that have so many people have his fucking pictures as their profile pictures and stuff, because he has a completely signature style and look, and it's completely his own.
Very much so.
And
very
so
much so.
I'm just and he's just one of them. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because more so than being my own artist, which these guys are all helping me grow into that, because I'm completely new to this. I see myself as somebody who can speak their language enough.
You can
to build them up to
can.
make them believe and realize what they can do with it.
You can.
And so that's what I'm doing.
And that's the cool thing that I'm noticing about what you guys are doing, is that there's a real non-institutional aspect to to the practice, to the way you're going about even curating, because you guys are curating art in the parks, you guys are doing that for sure, and people have been asking me what do you want to do after you graduate? Where do you want to end up? Do you want to end up in a gallery? Do you want to end up in a museum? I don't want to end up in a fucking museum, because it's so institutional, right? It's, FYI, the Getty fucking sucks. They don't,
boring.
They don't pay their staff. They don't pay their exhibition designers enough. They don't. And the gallery thing, there's something to the gallery. It can be on the fringe a little bit more, but the gallery is more dominated by the money aspect, which I think is just as bad as the institutional aspect. So that's what I like about what you guys are doing, is that there's a real non-institutional aspect to it. And I think the key to that is to maintain that shit and don't get fucking bought out by anything, by anyone. You know what I mean? Maintain that underground thing. And I think there's enough people in that to tap into that and to see that, you know what I mean? But keep it small, you know what I mean? Because after a certain point, you kind of lose the heart and the soul of what you're doing. And
I think I'm lucky enough, and everybody else is lucky enough that I'm stubborn as fuck like that.
Good.
It's probably
Good.
not gonna.
No,
it's not gonna happen.
That. Continue
I'm very
to do
much
that.
No,
Continue
I
to do
don't
that.
want
You know
it
what
to
I mean?
get anything.
Because that's the nature of any alternative subculture scene, right? It's on the fringe and becomes part of the mainstream. Everybody's done that. The rave scene has done that, especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Coachella, was considered the underground at one point. Now it's the biggest music festival in the world, So I think there's something to really trying to keep it, you know what I mean?
And that's what I love about, so I have a billion projects going on, and so
I'm
just
sure you
Phil
do.
and everybody
I'm
else
sure you
has
do,
all
David.
these projects. So we have all these things going on, but the idea behind that really is because what you're saying. Everything down the line has the potential to get, taken over and kind of ruined, become saturated.
Yes.
So if you start this project and you do it, I've always kind of been like told that, you just get over things and move on to things. You never see or finish anything all the way through. Well, I think that it's finally coming around full circle. But now if I start to do this movement and I could ride it out for as long as I want to, for as long as it's relevant to me or beneficial to me till I'm having fun. And then when I'm tired of it or it becomes stale, I can hop onto this now and start something completely different and jump on a new project. Even let somebody else take that over if they want. But you know what? No, I want to do something different.
Well, that's what makes you innovative.
Right. Well,
I think, from my perspective, a lot of the, when I see these subcultures and these movements and stuff like that, I see the value in them that could be brought to like a mainstream. And to me, I would love to see like a lot of these ideals and this new, this kind of emphasis on creativity and really somebody finding their own, applying to a mainstream.
Being an individual.
Yeah, exactly. This
and it's not to say that mainstream's bad. It's just like there's a certain level of mainstream.
I think you not, kind of circling back around to what we were just talking about. I think that is important to like inject kind of these subcultural things into the main culture in order to normalize what I think are ultimately good values. And I think that is the driving force behind this ever arching pendulum towards real progress and justice and stuff like that.
You could think of like the LGBTQ plus, as like they like to be referred to now, I think, movement as that, right?
Yeah.
It was something that existed on the fringe. In the 60s and 70s, it was like, the crazy people walking down the streets of San Fran, whipping each other. And now it's like,
and
you
now
can,
they actually
you can buy bondage at bondage at Dolls Kill. I can get
true.
my leather harness that I can be strapped up with against the ceiling at Dolls Kill.
Or the hippie movement, back in the day too. Like,
that's on my wish list.
There is credence to that. There is credence to that thought that there isn't anything inherently wrong with that. That there's benefits to that, and that's the thing. And I do agree with that I think that everyone would be a happier person if they ingrained some of these values into their life that was being about connective.
And I think it's a beautiful thing that maybe somebody's thinking like, oh man, I don't like that, my drag lifestyle was kind of brought into the mainstream and now everybody kind of wants to do it and it feels like kind of a bastardization, but it's also now into the mainstream and people who are like legitimately trans, I would hope that they feel way more comfortable being themselves and stuff like that. So ultimately we're kind of chipping away at this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's in everything in the sexual world too. Pornography. I mean, like it's just like, you nobody's ashamed to admit that they watch porn or do any of that stuff.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna wave my finger right now.
Oh wait, so you don't like porn?
No, I love porn.
Okay.
I think porn is great. No, I was gonna say that I saw a meme the other day criticizing Trump, and it was actually posted by
It's the same post.
The other 98% group on Facebook or whatever, where it's like a very leftist Bernie Sanders, pro Bernie Sanders Facebook group, and they'll share very leftist things. And they shared a post criticizing Trump, and then saying that he like fucked a porn star. And I was like, disclaimer, I'm sex positive. There's nothing inherently wrong with fucking a porn star. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Now, intimidating her and threatening her family and paying her off for a bunch of money
and using the government to cover it up and lie about it.
Yeah, that's the fucking problem.
That's a complete other issue.
I think that's exactly what you said too, right? At least because you brought it up in the same post that we were talking about too.
I did, yeah.
It came up again. So anyways.
Yeah. Like you can't. I mean, I agree with all of that. But let's not. Let's not slut shame here. Let's be careful. Let's be concurrent. Let's
also running on family values and then cheating on your third wife who just had a baby. Like that's also very fucked up. But fucking the porn star part of it is not the bad part.
I don't think that's the bad part. No.
It's the context.
It's covering it up.
Yeah.
Making everybody else around
and
you
that's
lie.
That's the funny thing that you were talking about, like with the conservative people just eating their own shit because like Bill Clinton, when he fucking supposedly got his dick sucked, it was the end of the fucking world for them. And then this guy like just blatantly does this and doesn't give a shit. And they're like worshiping him still. Like, and that's why I'm saying with the whole spectrum of like arguing with these people, like if they're still standing up for him or still there's absolutely nothing we can say to them.
Well, that was for the perjury.
There's nothing
that was the the impeachment
Yeah.
articles were drawn because he lied about it, not because he did it.
Yes,
But
because
because he did it, of course that was played
But that's
up
what he's
to their,
doing
like,
too.
hype.
That's what he's
But
doing too.
lying.
Is he's
Why
lying
aren't they?
about it.
Why
and
aren't they
Yeah.
grilling him though so much more than that? Like nobody's grilling him because we live in a different time, and it's better that in one way it's good that like
because we don't have elected representatives who are being actually held accountable by their
No, we
constituents,
don't.
and that's why we're seeing all this crazy shit going on right now because they know, come November, it's fucking done. Like
When
it's
when
never
was
gonna
he
be like that
elected?
again.
I don't know, though.
2016.
He was elected 2016, started 2017. The
So
fucking
he's
Speaker
out
of the House.
2021, right? Or 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
you
But
think
if
there
he's
were-
not
you-
he's not impeached before then, the reason he hasn't been is because everybody is on the same team and they're not going to fucking take out
You
their
think
own guy.
there were more constituents
if
back
everything-
then, though, going and giving them shit than there are now about that? I just don't think that it's actually doing anything.
No, I'm talking about the House of Representatives and the Senate. I'm talking about the Republicans in Congress are not willing to hold his feet to the fire, and they are
No.
constantly embarrassed by him every day, but they are towing the line because they
Yes.
don't want to upset his base.
Well,
That's the thing.
and they're waiting for the moment to take shit over. Like it's a political strategy.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
the moment of when they take shit over and they kick him out, that's a political strategy.
take him
and they're
down
willing
now,
to
you
do
can't get rid of
anything for
Pence.
that at the expense of our citizens, right? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's what I'm thinking the plan is. You can't,
sure it is.
Unless you can get Pence too.
Paul Ryan just resigned, so
Yeah.
he's dipping out. But I mean, but that's the other thing
Wait,
too.
why did he resign?
Because,
did
well,
you
he
say?
didn't really want to do it in the first place, and then he didn't want to, like, he got what he wanted. This massive tax cut that got everybody billions of dollars. Like,
He was the mastermind of
Yeah,
that,
he
yeah.
was the mastermind. This is his
That
whole
guy,
thing. that
you
he's
could
been
just
wanting.
take one look at
He
that
fucking-
guy, and he's that guy that they portray in every fucking movie.
He's
As the
spineless.
Yeah.
He's a
sleazy-
fucking
Yeah.
spineless piece of
the
shit.
Yes.
sleaziest
He is a spineless piece of shit.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like
But
the
see-
smuggy. Ugh.
But so everyone's like, oh yeah, let's impeach Trump, blah blah blah. I'm
No,
like,
that's like the
dude,
terrible
Pence
idea.
is
We're
Pence
fucked
is
on that scale.
crazy. Pence is crazy.
Yeah.
He advocates for gay conversion therapy. Gay conversion therapy is basically electrocuting men and women from being gay to straight, right?
Yeah.
After gay conversion therapy, after people have left gay conversion therapy, it has such a high suicide rate, it's insane. And he advocates for this.
No, like-
that alone.
And then there's
that
people that be like,
alone
well,
is
that'll
just
never
insane to
happen.
me.
But I think nobody should ever say that. Never. Nobody should say never in this thing because how many people
It
said
scares
that
me that
Donald
he
Trump was-
legitimately. I believe that he believes every single word of this stuff, like a literal
That's the
Bible
other scary
person.
part,
End
right?
times.
He's the
like,
president
That's the
from
other
Escape from
scary part,
LA.
is that
Yeah.
you know that he legitimately believes this.
Yeah, I don't think he's just because there's a lot of people I see. I'm like, they're just doing this so that
They're
they can
using
get
it.
votes. Yeah, but this guy, I believe that. So
He's-
I
I'm
do
with you
not
on
want
that.
to see that either.
I'm with you on that.
He's that
I-
president from Escape from LA. Have
If
you
we're gonna
seen
have a
it?
president this, fucked up and evil, like I'd rather him be lazy and incompetent at it.
But he also is lazy and he also is incompetent. Is the
Which
thing,
one,
too.
Pence or Trump?
Trump.
Oh, that's what we're
No,
saying.
that's-
that's-
he
no,
would
that's what I
rather
mean.
he would
I would
rather be
rather
this
have-
guy who's more bark
Yes,
than bite
yeah, yes.
than the guy who like doesn't care as much
actu-
about like just getting attention and tweeting
right,
and shit.
he's actually
than
believing in
the
this.
other guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but it's actually a toss up for me now. I don't know. Like he could just fucking tweet that we're starting
Alright.
another war. He did just tweet that we're starting a war. So like
It's
I don't know what the fucking worst
I don't even know,
scenario
dude.
is
I don't
anymore.
even know.
I feel bad for laughing, but I can't help but laugh because like what else can I do in this situation? He's just fucking retarded. Like the whole situation's fucking absolutely absurd.
No, he's completely rogue. Like he tweeted that we're bombing Syria. Like, get ready, the bombs are coming. And then the Department of Defense is like, wait, what? They are?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. Okay, we
like
better
they
fucking draw something
literally
up.
should make it to where he's why should our president be tweeting? Like what
Mm-hmm.
Because we had, this country was built on like this assumption of decency, and nobody's ever came along that was going to just really intentionally break it.
Subvert
this
that.
But
hard.
that is such a like fucking. There's a point where like as an appointed leader such as himself, that would be like in a way like hacking or leaking emails and shit. Like a fucking like if you're going and saying something along those lines, like that's fucking serious. That's a big fucking
You
deal.
realize he's done so much worse things than Hillary Clinton, like regarding emails on private servers.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Which
been
is the
so much
irony
worse
of
than
that.
anything she ever did.
Right.
Which
So
is,
yeah,
But
no,
I don't even want to get into like, well, this is worse than that, or like, whatever, because we're focusing on him, and it's just terrible, and it sucks because, like, why should he be fucking tweeting? That's like why
No
does
one
the
can
president
take away
need
his
to-
phone
Well,
from
just
him.
get
No
out
one can
and
take away
vote.
his phone from him.
Nobody
They've
can
tried.
tell me that
They've
voting
tried.
doesn't matter anymore.
No, his inner circle has tried to take away his phone from him, and he won't.
Yeah,
he
they
won't
can't
do
do
it.
it.
Well, I mean, he could buy a new
child.
phone. Obviously, I mean that's the
He
easy. But
won't
like,
do it.
No,
like,
he won't give it up.
I mean, you're technically as president, you're not even supposed to have a fucking wallet. How can
Yeah.
you have a fucking Twitter account?
wait, you're not allowed to have a wallet as a
So
president.
when Obama left office, that often
That's
happens.
another thing I learned. I never knew that.
You don't. I mean, why would you need a wallet?
Yeah.
You don't pay for anything. You're not
Yeah.
being driven
You're
anywhere.
not going to the store.
Yeah. I mean, what if, as president, what if someone were to steal your wallet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
okay,
so when he left office, he said, I haven't carried a wallet in 8 years, and it was tripping him out. Like molding back into this kind of everyday life, like he didn't know how to go about that. And one of the things he said is like, for the first time in 8 years, I'm carrying a wallet. He didn't need to. So how can you, as president, can't carry a wallet, but you have a Twitter account?
So what if he walked into a store with his like couple secret security guards, whatever?
Bless
Pardon me.
you.
Sorry. And like just was in like a remote place, just visiting somewhere, and there was like he's gonna buy a soda or something. Like he couldn't bust out a wallet and like pay for it.
You
Like
think the president really does anything for himself?
Well, his salary, the president's salary, I think is like in the
I mean,
400K range.
they go on vacations and shit, don't they?
But a
Yeah,
lot
no,
of
but they
things
have
are
Secret
paid
Service,
for.
I mean,
like,
he's
go
been
ahead,
golfing
like,
every
check
fucking
everything
weekend
out.
for the past few years.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he go to the bar and like drop a couple bucks to fucking pay for something?
But they don't do things without like everybody knowing ahead of time where
Yes.
they're going and what's going on.
Secret
You
Service
can't lose
is always
track of the
watching
president.
them, like,
Right, and that's what I'm
Like-
saying. The Secret Service, like you could have the Secret Service with him, but like he doesn't have the freedom to walk up and pull out a wallet and pay for his fucking drink or something.
Also, like-
perhaps he doesn't need to.
I mean, of course, that's what I'm saying. Like he
Also, who's got the balls to say to the president like, all right, that'll be $12?
I
like,
totally fucking would. I
for
totally
real.
would. I would definitely.
I'm
do
sure
that.
you would. I'm sure you would. But even
No
at
tips? What the
OG's,
fuck?
where I work, where I serve, when Garden Grove Police Department comes in, they get like a 75% discount. Like, and that's just the police department.
Right, but that's an established thing by the company that says
Right.
that. Like I think that
Did you guys do that at Joe's?
I know that we did military discount. I'm not sure. I think it was like a 10% thing for
Really?
law
Just
enforcement.
10%?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's they're super corporate. That's the
That
difference.
makes sense. That
OG's
makes
OG's isn't corporate, so
Ours isn't corporate, no. But yeah, no, they legit get like a 50-75% discount. So I'm sure the president...
75%.
Something like that.
Holy
So I'm
shit.
sure the president, if he wanted a drink or a Cliff Bar, probably wouldn't have to fucking pay for it.
I don't know. But so as we're wrapping up over here, what was it? Because I want to go back into what you do. What
Yes.
was it that
I would love if that was the end of the question. What was it?
what
Awkward silence for 5 minutes as the podcast slowly fades out.
what was it that like? Because I mean, I've known you for a while. I didn't really know. I knew you were like into fashion and stuff. I didn't really know that you were into curating art shows. So what was it that led you to where you are right now?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I graduated with my undergrad from Cal State Long Beach. Go Long Beach.
Boo. Go Titans.
No. I graduated
Hey,
from...
you knew where to go afterwards, so I'll
Yes.
forgive you.
I graduated from there with my undergrad in history because I've always been into... I love history, but I've also been into fashion history. So I kind of went into that program with the intention of like, okay, I want to end up like at a fashion museum, so something at the Met or at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. And then I knew I wanted to go into museums, so I found the program at Cal State Fullerton for exhibition design, which is designing museum exhibitions. So that's kind of how I found my way into it right now. Was like, okay, I want to curate fashion exhibitions. How do I do that? Well, there's this program I can learn how to do that because there's nothing on the West Coast for curating fashion exhibitions specifically. And then inevitably, like the program had a very contemporary art lens. So I learned everything through the lens of contemporary art. And then, so that's how I kind of fell into what I'm doing now, where I'm interested in textile art. I'm interested in sustainable art. I'm interested in our environment now. But it's kind of the amazing synthesis of both my interests that it's like the fast fashion thing, right? Which is like my newest, like, I don't want to use the word crusade because that sounds too grand, but cause, I guess, or what I'm really like advocating for. So that's kind of how I found my way into it, was just a series of well, I want to do this, so how do I get there? And now I'm over here instead of over there, kind of thing.
Because that's a big deal. I mean, it's a huge thing that you're doing. I mean, curating a show on the scale of what you're doing is like
it was gnarly.
Pretty gnarly thing. And I mean, that's for somebody who wasn't always interested necessarily in art or pursuing.
I was so intimidated by art when I first entered the program. I was so intimidated by contemporary art because the art world is fucking massive.
It's absurd
in
a lot of ways. It's
That's
absolutely
a wonderful
absurd.
word. Is
yeah.
It is absurd. It is absurd.
It's
and
so
so I was so
absurd and
put off by it.
nonsensical.
And it's going from something like kind of like tangible and finite, like in a way like history where you know cause and effect. You know why we entered into World War II. You know what happened after we left Vietnam. And then to go into something to art that's so subjective, you know, and then it's so malleable.
Well,
It's
there's a
really-
lot of subjective nature to its history
of course,
as well, you know.
Of course, yeah. But it was just like it was just so off-putting,
Right,
You know,
right.
But then I just became immersed in it, and now I feel fairly comfortable in it. But I think I found my little place that I'm comfortable in with the textile art thing and the idea of sustainable practice, which is what my thesis is about, and also the idea of doing things in alternative spaces. As I said, I don't want to be in a museum. I don't want to work in a gallery.
You want to create something different,
I
a
want to
new
do
experience
installations
for people, and that's
I
what
would love to. I mean, to be honest with you, I know it sounds kind of like cheesy and lame, but I'm going to Lightning in a Bottle, and I wanted to spend a whole day talking to people who are doing artwork there.
No, do it.
And being
that's
how
where
did you get here?
that's-
and who,
That is
and who
not
told you to
cheesy
do
one
this?
bit.
And like, can I join the team? And can I
Yeah.
work? And can I find work? And can I help you do your work? And can I like do the like maybe the festival circuit thing or the gathering thing?
Yeah.
I think would be super fucking dope. You know, I'm not really interested in. I'm not in it to make them. I mean, no one. I don't think anyone goes into art to make the big bucks.
Yeah.
I'm fairly comfortable with the fact I'm going to have to serve for the next 10 or 20 years, but I'm not connecting with anything in the institutional or gallery aspect. So I think that scene.
That's
or that-
awesome.
I think
man.
you and me are kind of on the same level with that, and
Yeah.
it really is, and I think that it's a collective consciousness that this thing is naturally going that way one way or the other, and the art world, and I've already seen it with places such as Meow Wolf and all the festival art installations, the Burning Man installations, all of these things. What it really is, and I share this similar vision. I think we all realize that, you know, with our generation of people that love art, but we can't afford the art that's hanging in galleries, and that's not
No.
even necessarily the way we want to experience it anymore.
No. It's so
need,
distanced.
We need immersive experiences
You do.
that involve things that, you know, are collaborative and you know, for people to even want to see it, because it's we need new shit, we need fresh shit. It's not to
do.
say that we shouldn't strive to have art hung in a gallery and be able to sell, but that's not where we want to be as an artist. That's where people go to be starving artists, because I'm going to consign this art to the, you know, the gallery and like hope that it sells, when it really is, it probably
make
won't.
my-
You know,
yeah.
that's not the way that it's going, and so we're trying to find new ways for people to be able to afford these experiences as well, while we'll still make money. And I think,
connected,
and
yeah.
it is happening, and it's evolving, and it's amazing.
I agree with that.
So where can people, if you want to go ahead and plug for, you know, the people that are going to be listening to the show, all right, how long is your show going to be running, and when can they see it?
It is for free, number one.
Cool.
Talking about people not being able to afford it is for free. At the Begovich Gallery at Cal State Fullerton. Our gallery hours are Monday through Friday from noon to 4. Or if you contact me, it'll be by appointment, which I've done already. So yeah, I think that the thing is, if people want to connect with this on a more quote unquote underground level, it's promoting small businesses, small artists who aren't gallery represented, going to shows that are pop-ups, going to shows that are at universities, because they usually are free. You know, if you want to buy something, I commissioned one of my friends to make me an art piece. I said, hey, can you make me something? She said, sure. I was like, how much do you want for it? And she quoted me a price, and I paid her. You know what I mean? The whole avoiding the gallery aspect is super crucial, I think, or can be key. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you were dealing with an artist who is gallery represented, there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with
I
that.
work in
Absolutely.
one,
You
but
work
I
at
also
one.
have this other vision
There's
too.
nothing wrong with
I think
that.
you should be able to strive for both of them.
For both.
Yeah.
You should have the option.
Yeah.
I think we should be striving to normalize people who have their art in galleries.
Yeah. I think it's understanding that the experience that you have with art can be more personal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
that's why the coloring books have been the biggest rage in the past few years. You know,
I
like
have a coloring book.
Yeah, everybody's got one for stress. Like, you know, it's something that is soothing, and it's something that people can do at any level, really. You know, it's like it's taking you back to your childhood roots, and then from there, I mean, I would love to hear if they did a study on how many people like started doing that and actually realized that just by stroking the marker onto the fucking coloring book, that next thing you know, they start drawing and painting and stuff. That's essentially what happened with me.
Can I give
No,
a quick anecdote right
Yeah.
here? She went ahead and bought like these $1 painting kits, these like, you know, children's like Crayola things with like these little paint things in there. And they had it, you know, a thing already outlined. And just, we spent like a couple hours, few hours the other night, just, you know, doing that by candlelight. And I was like, oh man, I had forgotten how much I loved just like the tactile version of that, because I'm so used to doing all my stuff on the computer and like just having some real paint right there and just really putting something together. It was.
And that's been my favorite part of the exhibition is that it's been really connective. Like after people are viewing the exhibition and the installation, they're like coming up to me and they're asking me questions. And we're sharing ideas about being more ethically responsible. And we're sharing stories about clothing. And we're, you know, talking to one another and laughing and, you know, like sharing an emotion, you know. So I think that's like, you know, been my favorite part of the exhibition. And I think, you know, if we want to harken back to everything we've talked about so far, is, I don't know, what everyone should do, right? You know what I mean? Like that'll make, I don't know, just make everybody love and care and be empathetic and share, and that's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point. I would hope so.
Well,
anyway.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about what you do.
Thank you
and
for having me.
Do you have an Instagram or anything you want to people can chat you out? Check out.
They can check out the show at Begovich Gallery on Instagram.
Spell it, please.
BEGOVICH Gallery, GALLERY. Both on Instagram and Facebook. So if they want to visit the show, again, it's at the Begovich Gallery at Cal State Fullerton. We're open till May 17th is when we're the last day to check it out.
Okay.
So I encourage everybody to come check it out. I think I'm really proud of it. I think it's really cool.
I'll have to stop down there pretty soon and check it out myself.
Yes. Personal tours. I will take a personal tour. And then my personal Instagram, which I suppose I should plug because I'm trying to do the whole connect with other artists things.
Shamelessly do it.
Shamelessly do it. I've been doing it with everything else.
No shame in here.
Is DeLaDanny, DE_LA_Danny DANI. So yeah, if anyone wants to work on some shit or do some cool shit or curate a show or do something not in a gallery or a museum, I'm fucking down.
Well, if anybody's taking inspiration from your plan to go to Lightning in a Bottle and just start talking to the artists and seeing, you know, what they're up to, how they got there, why they're doing this, and if they want to connect. Like, can you imagine anybody that we all know, like, in this world who wouldn't be anything but fucking thrilled if somebody came up to them and really wanted to get to
I want
know
to make
their
your
business
vision come to life.
Shop.
Your art, I want to make it come to life, and I'll do whatever you tell me to do.
Absolutely.
And I'll do it.
Yeah, they love it. They're there for that reason. They really want to
slide into those DMs, people.
Slide in those DMs. I'll accept.
Excellent.
And of course, I will have links to all this in the show description over here. Let's see, anything you want to throw out there before we wrap this up?
Let's see. No, I mean, just stay tuned for the more on parks. Obviously, my Instagram is always Hoodrat Stuff with 3 Fs. Also, the Psychedelic Lions Den, Psychedelic_Lions_Den, to catch up with all the cool art of all the local and friends of mine that are artists. And yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Go ahead and check out the Regal Collective Facebook page and probably on the Instagram. Coming up, actually, this is going to happen a while ago by the time this comes out. But go ahead and look at that for all the pictures from Art in the Park recently. And if you guys are interested in what my cute little self is doing, you guys can check me out on at NobodyCaresPhil on Instagram and at PhilNobodyCares on Twitter. And let's see, of course, do not forget to subscribe and tell all your friends that if they've been searching high and low for some real beautiful stuff, like I'm talking a podcast that's all about visual things. Such a great idea that we had. Tell them to go ahead and follow at Let It Bleed Cast on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to us in every single way that you get podcasts. Fucking download it. Delete it, download it again, delete it. Just boost those numbers up. Fucking steal your grandma's phone. Get her subscribed to it. That's how we grow every week. We actually have no audience. It's just me just just downloading and deleting, downloading and deleting. It's brilliant. So anyways,
downloading and deleting.
make sure you go ahead and do all that.
Thank you so much for coming on, Danny. And
Thank you.
we are looking
Thanks,
forward
guys.
to seeing your show.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much for tuning in, everybody out there. As always, let it bleed.
And that's right.